So, namaste everybody, and welcome to part 3 of Atisha's Advice from the Heart. So, we're up to verses 7. So we're going to go from verse 7 to 12, or try to get to verse 12 today. So we've looked at, in the past sessions, how we should guard our minds, and we've looked at how we should get a spiritual guide, a teacher to help us along the path. So let's carry on with verse 8. So verse 8 says, dedicate your virtues throughout the day and night, and always watch your mind. So a lot of people think that Buddhism and meditation is very selfish, because we're sitting down and we're meditating and we're working on our own mind, and Buddhism is about, clearing your mind and working what's going on inside your mind. So people think it's a selfish thing, but actually if they studied Buddhism, if they understood Buddhism, then they would see that, yeah, we do work on our mind and we do sit and do meditation to help us to understand ourselves and what makes us tick. We certainly do that, but we do that for the sake of all beings. We don't just do it for ourselves. And if somebody came to us and they had some emotional problems, and we also had our emotional problems, then how are we going to help these people? First of all, we have to start off by working on ourselves. But when we're working on ourselves, we have to remember that we are doing it for the good of all sentient beings, not just for our selfish needs, not just for ourselves. So verse 8 is talking about how we should dedicate that virtue. So there's a practice called mind training, Lojong. And in Lojong, it actually explains a good way of sending across virtue and making sure that whatever act we do, whatever is happening to us, we can either wish that happiness onto other people, or think that we don't want other people to act like that. So when something good happens to us, when something happens that makes us happy, we're having good times, everything seems to be going great, then instead of just wallowing in that and just thinking, oh, how great my life is, I love my life, we should be thinking that, okay, I want all sentient beings to feel like this. I want all sentient beings to go through what I'm going through now. This really helps to build that sense of connectedness. It helps us to build compassion and empathy. So when something good is happening to us, don't just enjoy it. Make sure that you spend some time and dedicate this happiness to all beings, and make an aspiration, a wish that all beings will go through exactly the same thing as what I'm going through here. And of course, when we go through the bad times, the times when it's not so good, what we need to be doing then is wish that nobody else has to go through what you're going through. So the good times, we have an aspiration that everybody has a good time like this, and the not so good times, the times when we are struggling, when we're being challenged, then we just have the aspiration that nobody else has to go through what I'm going through. If we keep those two things in our mind, we'll train our mind to be more compassionate, more kind, and more caring. And what we're also doing there is we're having a mechanism to bring ourselves back into the present moment. So instead of just going with the good times or getting all sad and tangled up in the not so good times, when we realize that we're having a good time or not good time, we then dedicate, we have an aspiration, and that aspiration brings us back to the present moment. So it helps us to be mindful and brings us back into the present moment so we can think about all beings. So that is exactly what verse 8 is talking about here, is about spreading our virtuous actions and hoping and praying that nobody else has to go through our challenging times. It's a simple thing, and you know, when you listen to those words you think, oh yeah, this is a good thing to do. It's yeah, but then try to do it. That's where the difficulty comes, where we really have to put in the effort to ensure that we are actually going to do that. We're going to make sure that we have these aspiration prayers, that we're going to say good things and hope good things on other people and wish not so good things, wish that other people don't have to go through them. So that's verse 8. Dedicate your virtues throughout the day and night and always watch your mind. So verse 9 says, because you've received advice, whenever you're not meditating, always practice in accordance with your spiritual guide. And actually, verse 10 says, if you practice with great determination, results will arise without you having to wait for a long time. So both of these, and actually verse 11 as well, if from your heart you practice with accordance to the teaching, resources will come naturally to you. So now we're talking about practicing. You see, some people say to me that is Buddhism a religion? For me it's not, but I know for some people it is. And some people think it's a way of life, it's a philosophy. And in a way it can be. But for me, the way that I see Buddhism, I see it as a path of practice. It's not just something we study and sit back and think, okay, yeah, I understand all that now. Everything is clear in my mind. Great. So for me, it's studying, but then putting that study into practice. So verse 9 is telling us, because you've received this advice, because you've received the teachings, whenever you're not meditating, always practice with accordance to what you've been taught by your guru. So it's important that we're not going to just go to a guru or a teacher or a spiritual friend, whatever you want to call them, a mentor. We're not just going to go there and then sit back and listen to the teachings and nod, oh yeah, this is a good idea. And then when we leave, it's just like gone. If you have a teacher, and if that teacher has given you some practices to do, then we need to put those practices into action. And so this verse is saying, when you're not on the meditation cushion, you should be putting the teachings into action. So the process goes like, we study, and then we ask questions and clear up any doubt. Then we meditate, and we meditate so we can actually turn that knowledge into wisdom, so we can really understand what the teachings are. But then when we're off that meditation cushion, we have to be implementing those teachings. As what is the point? What is the point of just sitting in meditation and just watching your breath for 10-15 minutes every day? Well, the point there is that you're going to be very calm and very relaxed, but you're not going to be able to grow or change or become the best possible person you can become, because you're not actually implementing anything. So you can listen to the best teachers in the world, you can go to all the teachings, but if you're not going to turn those teachings into wisdom and you're not going to implement those teachings are going to be absolutely no use to you. And that's what I'm saying about Buddhism being a path of practice. It's something we have to do. Now, the teacher can guide you, the teacher can show you the way, but he can't walk the path for you. You have to walk the path. That guide, that spiritual friend is there to help you along the path, but they can't walk it. So, because you've had these teachings and you've meditated on these teachings, the next step is to get off the meditation cushion and start implementing those teachings. Start making those teachings a part of your life. So that's what that verse is talking about, verse 9. So verse 10 is also talking about practice, and so is verse 11. So verse 10 says, if you practice with great determination, so if you put in the effort, results will arise without you having to wait for a long period of time. And verse 11 says, if from your heart you practice in accordance with the teachings, then resources will come naturally to hand. So they're kind of saying the same thing. If you practice with effort and if you practice from your heart, then the benefits are going to come to you. So, and the benefits will come fairly quickly if you put in the determination, if you put in the practice. You know, if you're going to just try to work on yourself for a few minutes every day, then how are we going to learn? How are we going to move forward? So we need to have the determination to really put these teachings into practice. Listen to your spiritual guide, meditate on it, clear up any doubts you have, and implement it. So that implementation we have to do with determination. We have to put in the effort. I mean, we all know from school and from our walk of life, if we don't put in an effort, we are not going to get a result. The more effort you put in, the better the result is going to be. You know, if you're learning a new skill and you only do it every now and again, maybe at the weekends for a little bit, but you're not really that putting in that much effort, then you're never going to learn that skill. And learning how to meditate, learning how to implement those teachings into our life is a skill. It's not an easy task. It's asking us to look at all the things that we thought were real, all those opinions I have, all those discriminations and all those biases, all those concepts I carry around with me, my perspective of the world, all of that. We're asking you to look at that and tear it apart and see what is real and what is helpful and skillful and what isn't. What do I need to reinforce? What do I need to let go of? It is a difficult task to do because our mind is conditioned. It's been conditioned firstly by our parents and really mainly by our parents, but then it's been conditioned by school, from friends, from society, from religions. So all of these things have conditioned our mind. So now when we want to try and uncondition it and try to break it apart and have a good look inside and see what we need to get rid of and what we need to repair or what we need to reinforce, it takes a lot of determination. And if you don't put that determination in, you are not going to get the result that you're looking for. So that verse is talking about how we have to put in the determination. We've had the teachings, or we're having the teachings. So as you go along getting these teachings and understanding the path, you have to have a real heartfelt determination that I really, really want to do this. I want to put this into practice. And if you don't have that determination, then so many things are going to trip you up. Like in part 2, we were talking about guarding your mind. We were talking about friends taking you down the wrong path. We were talking about going to places that are going to disturb your mind. If you don't have a strong determination to to walk down that spiritual path and try to put these lessons into practice, then we are definitely going to be disturbed by friends, by situations we find ourselves in, by our mind who constantly wants to be entertained. So determination is something that we really need to work at. We really need to put the effort in. So then the other thing is saying is that if from your heart you practice in accordance with the teachings, then again, the resources are going to come quickly, and they will. You see, if you put in the effort to understand that there is no self, there's no solid and permanent self, if you put in determination, and if you really try from your heart, then you will get to a point where you understand that. And when you understand that, the benefits are going to come to you. The benefits of not getting attached to yourself, not getting attached to other people, understanding impermanence, understanding that everything comes about through causes and conditions. I've come about, we've all come about through causes and conditions. If we start to practice from the heart and put in determination, then we're going to be able to understand the teachings in that way, and then the benefits are going to come quickly to us. If we don't put in the determination, and if really you're not doing it from your heart, maybe you're just doing it because it seems like something to do, or somebody else around you is doing it, or you know, it's a new fad like mindfulness has become. So if you do it like that and you just half-heartedly do it, then of course you are not going to gain those benefits. But if you do it from your heart, you really want to do it, you put in that determination, then the results are going to come to you. But they can't come if you're just going to take it as a part-time thing, a little thing. I'll just do it whenever I've got time. It is such a whole change in us. It is such a difficult thing to work on our conditioned mind. Difficult, but not impossible. A difficult and challenging sometimes thing. But the benefits that you get from it are going to be huge. Just think that if you could never get really angry again, or you catch that anger and let it go before it manifests itself, if you'd never have that jealousy, that pride, if you have true compassion for all beings and empathy, I mean, just imagine how it feels to be in that state where instead of people annoying you and making you feel in a bad mood, you feel good and you feel like you want to help people and nobody can get to you. I mean, just imagine how that's going to feel. And imagine how then you can help other people when your mind is stable. When it's stable and it's relaxed and calm, you can look at these teachings, you can understand them, but only if you're going to put in the determination and you're going to actually do it from your heart and not just do it half-heartedly. So then verse 12 says, friends. So he means this one. On the ones that he wants to emphasize, he always says friends, or he finishes with do it from your heart. So this one is friends. The things you desire give no more satisfaction than drinking salt water. Therefore, practice contentment. So what he's saying is, if we chase after our desires, it's a never-ending race. We will never, ever reach a point where we are satisfied, because our mind is not working like that. We've allowed it to, well, we've not just allowed it. I mean, we've been brought up, we've been taught this way. From a very young age, we've been taught to desire things. All of the advertisements everywhere are just making us want to desire things. So this is the way our mind has been brought up, to desire things. But that's a fool's game. It is a never-ending game. So like it says here, It's like if you are so thirsty, and then to quench that thirst, you drink salt water. You're just going to make yourself even more thirsty. And if you think that by having a desire and going out and actually buying everything that you desire is going to get rid of that desire, it isn't. It's going to do exactly the opposite. It's going to help you. It's going to push you in the direction of having more desires. So we have to be careful with our desires. And the one way it is mentioned in here is contentment. But to be contented, I believe that first of all, we have to have gratitude. Because for me, gratitude leads to contentment. And contentment will then lead to inner happiness and a peaceful mind. This, for me, this is a path that I believe that it starts from being grateful. You know, when you're grateful for your life, when you're grateful for the people in your life, when you're grateful for the situations that are happening to you, when you're grateful for your possessions, then it lets go of that desire because you are grateful. And gratitude is such a simple practice to do. I know sitting meditating is a difficult practice. Looking at your mind and trying to see there's non-self here and everything is impermanent and attachment and all these things are very difficult for us. But what isn't difficult is gratitude. Because all we need to do is stop a moment and think, what am I grateful for today? That's it. That is the practice. It isn't difficult practice to do. And actually when we do this practice, it starts to release dopamines into our brain. So when we have that chemical, that dopamine, it makes us feel good. And because we like that, then we want more of it. So then we become even happier about having gratitude. So being grateful is the starting point of letting go of your desires. Because if you're grateful for what you've got, then you don't need to be rushing out buying new things. And so that gratitude is going to lead to contentment. And you know, when we're contented, the word, even the contented, it's that. It's like, oh, thank God I can now let go of all chasing after the latest iPhones and the new car and the bigger house and the best designer clothes and everything like that. It's contentment is about I'm happy with what I've got. I might not have the best phone, the best car, the biggest house, the most expensive clothes. But what I've got, I'm grateful for and I am contented. And if you feel contented, then it naturally follows that you're going to have that inner happiness because we have everything. There's no need to go running around, chasing around, trying to find new things. I have everything. And when we have that inner happiness, then our mind is at peace. It's calm. You see, what we do is we chase after outer happiness. We chase after things, buy things that try to make us happy. But they do, but only for a short period of time. And then after that, they go. And then we now look for something else. So chasing your desires is a never-ending game. It is a fool's game. So look around you. Every day stop and just have a look. What am I grateful for? It is a simple practice that is going to lead you to contentment. And that contentment is going to lead you to having an inner happiness, lasting happiness, peaceful mind. And that is what we're all chasing. I'm not sure that is what we want. We're all chasing happiness, but the problem is we're chasing it outside ourselves and we'll never find it. It's a race you'll never win. You'll be running that race right up until your last breath. But if you go inward with gratitude, contentment, then you'll find that elusive happiness that you've been chasing all of your life. You already had it inside of you. You just needed to ignite it with gratitude and contentment. So thank you so much for joining me today in this session. If you have any questions about this session, then please leave it in the comments, and I'll get round to answering it as soon as I can. And next week we'll have a look at more verses of Atisha's advice from the heart. Now, before I go, I want to just remind you about my guided meditation course on compassion. It's 15 videos, all different meditation practices, all helping you to build true compassion in yourself, explaining what compassion is and how we can get it. And it's free, and they're just 15 minutes long. So you can find them on round.glass/Yeshe Rabgye, one word. That's round.glass/Yeshe Rabgye. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again next week. And please leave your comments, and I'll get round to answering them. So have a great week ahead. Please stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Namaste. If you enjoyed this video, then press the subscribe button now. And don't forget to share the video with your friends.